I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd end up in one of those stories. The kind you read on Reddit or watch narrated in some dimly lit YouTube video. You always think that stuff happens to other people. Never you. Until it does. It started with a vacation. Or at least that's what it was supposed to be. Emma and I had been together for almost 4 years. Lately, life has been tiring. Work deadlines, constant noise, and that suffocating city rhythm that leaves you awake at 2 a.m. for no reason other than the world refuses to quiet down. So when Emma found the cabin listing, she was glowing with excitement. "It's perfect, Rye," she said. "Middle of nowhere. Total peace. Just us and the woods." She showed me the photos. Rustic pine walls, fairy lights strung around the porch, a fireplace that looked hand-built, and a giant window facing the trees. It looked like something out of a Hallmark movie, not a horror story. The host's name was Greg. His bio said former carpenter, loves hosting travelers looking for quiet stays. No neighbors within 5 miles. Perfect for couples. That part should have been my first red flag. We left on a Friday morning. A 3-hour drive north from the city into the kind of woods where your phone signal fades like it's being swallowed by the trees. By the time we reached the dirt road that led to the cabin, the sky was a dull gray, the kind that hangs low and presses on your chest. The cabin stood alone, wooden and tall, surrounded by thick pines. Rocking chair swayed gently on the porch as if someone had just left it. Inside, it smelled like cedar and dust. There was a folded note on the counter, handwritten in perfect cursive. "Welcome, Emma and Ryan! Feel free to use the fireplace, board games, and streaming setup. Wife a password, stay hidden. Greg." Emma laughed at the password. "Kinda creepy, huh?" I smirked, brushing it off. Probably just a joke. But that word stuck in my head. Stay hidden. We unpacked, opened a bottle of cheap wine, and watched the daylight fade into amber streaks through the window. By the time night settled, the cabin had grown quiet, too quiet. No crickets, no wind, just silence. It was around 1 a.m. when Emma noticed it. We were curled on the couch, half asleep, a movie droning softly on the TV. She suddenly stiffened, pointing upward. "Ryan, what's that red light?" I looked up. At first, it seemed like a reflection, a tiny dot of red near the ceiling. The longer I stared, the more it pulsed. Blink, pause. Blink, I got up, grabbed a chair, and climbed to get a closer look. The smoke detector casing was fake. No sensor, no test button. Just a tiny black lens set behind tinted plastic. I pried it off with a butter knife. Inside was a small circuit board, a micro SD card, and a faint chemical smell of burnt plastic. It wasn't a smoke detector. It was a camera. Emma's face went pale. "Why would there be a camera here?" "Maybe it's for security," I said. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. "A motion sensor or something." We started searching. We found another one above the fireplace, hidden in the decorative wooden beam. Another one in the bedroom vent, and one more, the one that made Emma tremble, inside the bathroom light fixture. That's when I knew we had to leave. We started packing, rushing, adrenaline pounding. When I stepped outside with our bags, something caught my eye. There was a second floor, a small, windowed loft not shown in any of the listing photos. A narrow door near the pantry led upward, but it was padlocked. "Let's go, Ryan," Emma said, panic rising in her voice. "Can call the cops from town." But something in me, that same stupid curiosity that ruins every survivor's chance in these stories, wouldn't let it go. The padlock was old, rusted. I found a screwdriver and snapped it open. The staircase creaked as I climbed. The air grew colder with every step, stale and electric, as if someone hadn't been up here in years. The room was unfinished, just wooden planks and exposed beams. But against the far wall sat a desk lined with monitors. 8 of them, all showing live feeds from different parts of the cabin. Showed the living room, one the kitchen, one the bathroom, another the bedroom. Every room had a camera, Every moment was being recorded, and then I saw it, the last screen. It wasn't inside the cabin. It was outside. A fixed camera pointed directly at the front door, showing me standing on the stairs. And in the corner of that feed, in the background, I could see the reflection of something else. A figure behind Emma in the kitchen. It wasn't me. It wasn't her reflection either. It was tall, pale, hair draped across its face, its head tilted like it was listening to something. Then the feed flickered, and it turned toward the camera. I yelled Emma's name, bolted down the stairs, nearly slipping on the last step. The kitchen was empty. The back door, wide open, wind howling in. No sign of her. I screamed her name again, rushing outside, and found her near the car, shaking uncontrollably, pointing back at the cabin. "There was someone in there," she cried, behind me. I saw it in the window. The police arrived an hour later. 2 officers in thick jackets, flashlights cutting through the trees. They searched every room, every corner. They found nothing, no cameras, no monitors, not even the upstairs room. When I insisted it was there, they looked at me with that polite disbelief reserved for people who've had a long night. The lock on the pantry door was back, brand new, shiny metal, as if it had just been replaced. The officer asked, "Are you sure you didn't maybe see a reflection? There are lights everywhere out here." I showed him the spot in the ceiling where the fake smoke detector was, but it was gone. The drywall was smooth, freshly patched. No hole. No sign anything had ever been there. He gave us a card, told us to get some rest, and left. We drove home that night, headlights slicing through black trees, the silence between us heavier than words. A week later, while unpacking, I found something wedged in the side pocket of my duffel bag. A small SD card. I don't remember putting it there. Neither did Emma. When I loaded it onto my laptop, it contained 4 video files, all time-stamped from that weekend. The first few minutes were static. Then us. We were on the couch, laughing, drinking wine. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. The angle was high, looking down at us from the corner of the room. The camera I took down. I skipped forward, showed us discovering the device, my climbing up, unscrewing it. Just like it happened. Then the next clip began. The bedroom. We were asleep. The lens zoomed in slightly, steady, deliberate, and then something moved in the corner. A faint silhouette, pale hands, long hair, crouching behind the door, motionless, watching us. It stayed there for almost an hour before slowly moving toward the bed. I slammed the laptop shut, heart hammering. Emma refused to watch. She wanted to destroy the card, but I couldn't. I needed to understand. The last clip began the moment I entered the upstairs room. You could see me through the monitor reflection, standing there. And in the reflection of the monitor beside me, a shape was behind me. Closer this time, smiling. When I checked the metadata of the files, I noticed something strange. Each one had been modified after we left. Someone had accessed them remotely. The file names had changed too. They all ended with the same suffix: feed 01, feed 02, feed 03, and one more added the day I opened them: feed 04, watching you. 2 weeks later, I went back. Alone. The listing was gone from Airbnb. The address didn't even exist on GPS anymore. The road just ended in blank terrain. I drove there anyway. The cabin was still there, but it looked older, boarded up, abandoned for years. Dust covered the porch, weeds swallowing the path. Inside, the air was heavy with mold and rot. No monitors, no lights, just silence. I walked upstairs expecting nothing. But in the corner, faintly carved into the wood, were words scratched into the wall: "Stay hidden." Right beneath it, a small circular hole. I leaned closer. Behind it, something blinked. A faint, red light. I sent everything I found, the footage, photos, SD card, to a friend at the digital forensics lab. He called me 2 days later, voice shaking. "Ryan, the timestamps on those videos go back 10 years. "That's impossible," I said. "We were just there." "I know," he whispered, "but there's more. There's footage of other couples. Dozens of them, all staying in the same cabin, all doing the same things you did." He paused. "The last few videos, they're not people." "What do you mean?" "They're empty rooms. But there's something in the footage that moves. Like shadows. Faces pressed against the lens." The files kept reappearing on his computer, even after deletion. He stopped answering my calls after a week. When I visited his apartment, it was empty. The laptop is still open, the same red light blinking from his webcam. That was the first story in the red file archive. The first feed, but not the last.